Joining us now is Dr. Marissa Levine. She is the State Health Commissioner in Virginia State Health, and we had the opportunity to hear Dr. Levine speak on Wednesday concerning the Zika virus, and I thought she was fascinating in how she was able to explain the different aspects of it. A lot of people have heard about this virus. You've kind of heard about it. You don't exactly know what it is or how it might get to Virginia or what the impacts are and some of that. So joining us now, Dr. Levine, good to have you with us today, Doctor.
Good morning, John. Let me also say my heart goes out to the people of Nice, France for that horrible attack.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Levine, imagine, you're taking your child, you're buying them an ice cream cone in a festival celebration, and a truck comes down just running people over, shooting wildly. I mean, it's a sick time we live in, don't you think?
It is. I would add that, ever since 9/11 and the anthrax attacks, public health has been really an integral part of the public safety team. And what we've done is taken this all hazards approach. You heard me on Wednesday talk about the fact that what I certainly hope for everybody in Virginia is to have a safe, healthy, and happy summer. And it's important to know about all the risks out there, and there are many. So as we do with everything, it's good to be prepared. And on Wednesday I talked, and I do appreciate you having me this morning to talk more about Zika, which is a virus that's new for people in this hemisphere, and something I think they need to know about because there are actions that they can take to prevent risk from this virus.
Dr. Levine, can you start by just sharing with our audience exactly what the Zika virus is and how it's transmitted?
I will. It's a virus like some we've heard before. You may remember West Nile virus back in the early part of the 2000s.
Right.
There are other diseases that are more tropical. People may have heard of dengue fever or chikungunya. I won't explain those. But this particular virus is only spread to people by mosquitoes. At least that's what we initially thought. And then we found out it's also a sexually transmitted disease. This is new, relatively. And as I mentioned, although this virus has been around in the world since 1947, it's not been in the Western Hemisphere until last year when we saw significant issues, particularly in Brazil. The virus is not necessarily an unusual virus. It, for most people, doesn't even cause symptoms. I'd say 80% of people who maybe get this through a mosquito bite don't even know they have it. But the other 20% have what you would think is a more typical flu-type symptoms. They have fever. They can get some joint pains, rash. And in this case, we do see pink eye-type symptoms. We call it conjunctivitis. Again, those 20%, they'll be sick maybe over the course of a week or so, and then it will be gone. However, what we've seen since last year is that this virus can cause complications in some people. And the biggest concern I have as a health commissioner is that women who are pregnant who are exposed to the virus could end up with a child with very severe birth defects. It's called microcephaly. It means small head. But the virus, for some reason now, is attacking developing neural tissue, brain, spine, spinal cord. And what happens in these babies is that the brain and system do not develop normally. And so they're left with lifelong impairments, which obviously is significant not only to the child and the family, but to all of us. We've seen a number of these cases in Brazil where the virus first reared its head, so to speak, last year, and it's been present now in pretty much all countries in South, Central America, Mexico, and the Caribbean. And all of the cases we have 38 confirmed or probable cases here in Virginia. All of those are related to some degree to travel. People who've traveled and gotten it, or in some cases, men who've traveled and because of the sexual transmission have given it to their female sexual partners. So there's very specific guidance, and we're learning a lot about this virus as we go. I think there's some really important things for your listeners to know because they can do things on their own property to significantly minimize the risk of Zika if and when it comes to Virginia. And I'll just to be very clear, this virus isn't in Virginia mosquitoes at this time. I think it's only a matter of time. I can't tell you when. The critical messages right now are for anybody who's traveling south of the United States to take warning. Check the websites. We've got a website, www.zikava.org, and Zika is Z-I-K-A. We've got lots of information there. It'll take you to the CDC website also for additional information, particularly around travel. And they're really important things to do before you go and when you come back that can prevent this from being an issue here in Virginia.
Now, Dr. Levine, is this virus, the Zika virus, is this carried by a certain breed of mosquitoes, or can it be carried by any mosquito?
That's a great question, John, and that's really important. We have mosquitoes in Virginia, obviously, and some areas more than others, but there's only one species of mosquito that carries this, and there are two types of mosquitoes within that species. Both of those are in Virginia. We know the most common one is the Asian tiger mosquito. It's a mosquito that's pretty aggressive and bites people during the day. The other one, the yellow fever mosquito, is less common, but it does exist in Virginia. It's the one that's more prominent in South and Central America and the Caribbean, and we think it more readily passes the Zika virus. But the other one, the Asian tiger, certainly has the potential. And what's critical about those mosquitoes is those aren't the swamp mosquitoes. You don't find them in puddles. You don't find them on anything with a dirt bottom or a sand bottom. They only breed in containers, in man-made containers. And they've just evolved to do that because they know they need to be near people to get that blood meal. So there's something very simple we can do to minimize the breeding, which is the most critical step for preventing Zika, and that's tipping over any containers, getting rid of the water, tossing all debris in the yard. And if you do that once a week in your own property, you can significantly decrease breeding sites for these specific mosquitoes. It doesn't mean that there won't be other mosquitoes, but we don't worry about those other mosquitoes with respect to Zika. They won't carry it, and at least as far as we know, science today.
Fascinating that the Asian tiger and this other mosquito, yellow fever mosquito, have evolved such that they only breed in containers where there's water, knowing that containers, if there's a container there, there's people there, which is their food supply. So that's pretty interesting how that, sometimes we don't think this stuff through. And look, this week I was pretty excited to be at your press conference on Wednesday because you teamed up with the Virginia Hospital and Healthcare Association on a public event about the Zika virus, and there seem to be a few takeaways. One is the important prevention tips that you've been sharing. The other is this running collaboration with Virginia hospitals to prepare for all sorts of public health situations through what is called the Hospital Preparedness Program. I don't think a lot of people realize this stuff is happening behind the scenes. Can you elaborate on that, Dr. Levine?
I would be happy to. And I think the events in the world really highlight the importance of this. We don't know what the next threat or hazard might be, so it's really critical that the health and medical system is well prepared and coordinated for whatever might show up. And so this really, unfortunately, came about in the anthrax attacks, where with some federal investment, we made sure that all of the parts of the system were linked and that there was a coordinating capability, which has come in handy for whatever threat or hazard you might think about, be it weather, man-made, terrorist, or natural like Zika. Ebola last year, we utilized that too. And quite frankly, we don't know what the next threat will be, but I can almost guarantee there will be something that on. So we've built what I think is a really robust communication and referral capability. We have 6 hospital and healthcare regions in Virginia. Each of those has a coordinating capability. Our EMS regions have what we call a mass casualty incident plan. God forbid we should have to use that, but we have an ability to get to people quickly and move them to where they can get the best care most promptly. And then most importantly, we have a communication system to make sure we get information out to frontline people, the clinicians, the EMS personnel, and work guidance or the data that helps guide what we need to do. And I think Virginia has been in a good place in terms of our preparedness. What people probably don't know is that we drill and train all the time. We take every event, regardless of where it happened, reviewed, and they're relevant to those events. So last year, with Ebola, we more work to do because Ebola had specific aspects of it that included monitoring. And now we've taken the plans again and we've adjusted them for Zika, and with a good public-private partnership, we actually have a phased state planning response, which we put on the website that I mentioned, www.zikava.org, and people are welcome to look at it. And this one's going to be a little different because it requires mosquito control really everywhere in Virginia.
So again, just to reiterate to people, if you're not pregnant, okay, so here's the deal with the Zika virus. If you get bit by a mosquito that's carrying it, 20% chance a week it's going to be flu-like symptoms. But then as we understand what you're saying, Dr. Levine, is after a week, those just go away and the virus is gone, or does it stay in your system and incubate, or is it just gone?
So once you get it, we believe that you're protected for life. Like many other viruses, you build up a natural immunity. The problem with this virus is that although it's in your blood for a week, and during that week, if a mosquito bites you, you could spread Zika, which is why it's